SMB, LDAP, and RDP can look confusing at first because they are all network protocols. But for CompTIA A Core 1220-1201, you just need to know what each one does, when it is used, and which port number goes with it. By the end of this quick bite, you'll know how to tell SMB, LDAP, and RDP apart on the exam. Welcome to QuickBytes Education. Today's quick bite is all about SMB, LDAP, and RDP, explained simply, quickly, and clearly. Let's get started. Here's what we're covering today: what SMB does, what LDAP does, what RDP does, the common port numbers, and the exam clues to watch for. Let's start with the simple version. SMB is for sharing files and printers. LDAP is for looking up directory information. RDP is for remotely controlling a computer. Think of it like an office building. SMB is the shared file cabinet. LDAP is the employee directory. RDP is sitting at someone else's computer from another location. On the exam, they may test this by describing what someone is trying to do, then asking which protocol fits the situation. So don't just memorize the letters. Connect each protocol to its job. SMB stands for Server Message Block. SMB is commonly used for file sharing and printer sharing on a network. For example, if a user opens a shared folder from another computer or connects to a shared network printer, SMB may be involved. In many Windows environments, SMB is one of the main protocols used for accessing shared resources. For CompTIA A Core 1, the common SMB port to remember is TCP port 445. On the exam, they may test this by asking which protocol is used for file sharing or printer sharing. That answer is SMB. They may also ask which port is associated with SMB. That answer is 445. Quick checkpoint. SMB means shared files and shared printers. LDAD stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. That sounds technical, but the idea is simple. LDAP is used to access directory information. A directory is like a database of users, groups, computers, and resources on a network. In many business environments, LDAP is used with directory services like Microsoft Active Directory. So if a system needs to look up a user, check group membership, or find directory information, LDAP may be part of that process. For CompTIA A Core 1, the common LDAP port to remember is TCP port 389. Here's where most people get this wrong. They think LDAP is just a login protocol. Not exactly. LDAP can support authentication-related tasks, but its main idea is directory access and directory lookups. On the exam, if the question talks about querying a directory or accessing user and group information, think LDAP. Quick checkpoint. LDAP means directory lookup. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. RDP lets you connect to and control another computer remotely. For example, a help desk technician might use RDP to access a user's Windows computer or a server from another location. Instead of physically sitting in front of the machine, the technician can view the desktop, move the mouse, open programs, and troubleshoot remotely. For CompTIA A Core 1, the common RDP port to remember is TCP port 3389. On the exam, they may test this by describing remote access to a Windows desktop. That should make you think RDP. RDP is not just file sharing. It is remote control of a computer's desktop environment. Now, let's lock in the port numbers. SMB commonly uses TCP port 445. LDAP commonly uses TCP port 389. RDP commonly uses TCP port 3389. A port is like a numbered doorway used by a network service. So if a firewall blocks port 445, file sharing may fail. If port 389 is blocked, directory lookups may fail. If port 3389 is blocked, remote desktop access may fail. For the exam, use the symptom. Cannot access a shared folder? Think SMB. Need to query users or groups in a directory? Think LDAP. Need to remotely control a Windows computer? Think RDP. Here's what you just learned. SMB stands for Server Message Block. SMB is commonly used for file and printer sharing. SMB commonly uses TCP port 445. LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. LDAP is used to access directory information, like users and groups. LDAP commonly uses TCP port 389. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. RDP is used to remotely control another computer. RDP commonly uses TCP port 3389. And on the exam, remember, SMB shares, LDAP searches, and RDP remotely controls. If this helped you understand SMB, LDAP, and RDP for CompTIA A Core 1, like the video, subscribe, and keep building your knowledge with QuickBytes education, one quick bite at a time.